Well, I got the short-term project in here, the $0 Zook. It needs a head gasket. It blows bubbles. So I'll do the head gasket on it. And it needs a few other things. It needs the rear diff looking at. And a right-hand front CV joint, which only really matters if you're in four-wheel drive. So I'm not too concerned. And it's wheel alignment. I jumped on the clutch pretty hard one day, full driving it, and it really whipped and bounced the front around, and I think it's towed it in too far. I was kind of stuck, when I say stuck, like opposing wheels off the ground stuck. And then we've got a long-term project in here, which I fired up and it barely drove in here. The engine's fine, the clutch is stuffed. So I'll try and put another clutch in it. I think I've got a Skyline clutch that'll fit, that I probably won't use for a while. So with I'm not sure if it was a standard duty pressure plate or a heavy duty pressure plate, but it's nothing extreme. It's just a little bit heavier than I think it is just a little bit heavier than a standard duty pressure plate to go in it, as long as that's the same size. And like, because this door's stretched, well, the hinge is there. You see, it's pulled the steel out on the door a bit because it's been caught in the wind. So I'll take this door off and fix that up before we do anything. And these stupid seats have got to come out because I can't fit in there. It's supposed to have a bench seat, and with a bench seat you can be 6'4" and fit in here somewhat comfortable. Well, maybe not 6'4", but 6'1" you can. And I'm not even 6 foot. I'm 5'9" and 3/4 or something. So, 6 foot if I wear big boots. So, in a nutshell, you cannot run bucket seats in this unless it's a king cab. Unless you're a short person, because you have your knees around your ears. And yeah, this is the factory 5-speed column. My old man's ute had the same thing, but the gearbox died. This thing was mint when the previous owner got it off my uncle, and he left it out in the weather, and when I went to pick it up he goes, "I don't know why the tray rusted out." Well, if you leave this much rubbish in here all the time and leave it out in the weather, these utes are renowned for rusting. And there's all sorts of junk down in between there. You can't see, but I'll show you after I get the tray off, because this has got to be replaced. It'll just get top tray on it now. I've got a spare one with no sides. And I found front window rubbers on eBay. So I'll order a front window rubber, and I'll get a back one just in case this one has to come out for painting or anything, because it's going to have to be painted, even if it is just a series of touch-ups, just to stop it from rusting until it can get painted properly around the aerial mount here. I'm not actually sure whether or why it's got that aerial on it. Whether the radio, because it's only got AM radio, whether that'll work without the aerial. It's still got the same AM radio that Grandpa bought it with. So I don't know whether it needs that aerial or not. I don't intend on changing it. I'm just going to leave it in there. So yeah, no, obviously that guard needs to fix, because that hinge was bent. Everybody that had it beforehand was rough on here, so this thing was mint condition when it left the farm. That's the sad part about it. It was the baby of the fleet. We've had, what did we have, 4 of these on the farm at one time. So it was this one, Grandpa's work ute, which was a year before this one, with the 2.2 litre in it. This one's got the 2.3. My uncle's got the 2.2 litre four-wheel drive, single cab. And my old man has the 2.5 litre single cab. Looks the same as this, it's just orange. And and it's got a steel tray on it with wooden floor, and it's about 6 inches longer than the normal steel trays that come out on these. So he had the most room of everybody. But essentially it was the same ute as this one, with a full chrome front bumper, whereas the one that's a year older than this one, that's done the million, it's on the second time around, it's 1.5 or something million Ks. It's got the plastic corners, plastic bumperette corners on it, and then the steel across the front with the 2.2 litre. These are probably, I don't know, would they be a 40-year-old engine now? They've been around a lot longer before the 720s came out. They were used in a lot of forklifts actually. They're more of an industrial engine, but they perform really well on the road too. Can't get these latches door handles anymore, and I've got this sort of 720 tray on my 620, and I remember buying the last door handle for it, so I don't know what can be done there, because I don't know if that tailgate's worth saving for somebody else or for myself later on. The lights are worth saving. It's just unfortunate that, you know, it's this bad. I mean, there's spots in here I can see daylight through, like right there. So, you know, but the rest of the cab, and the cab's the important part. You know, like they rust out in the gutters, and it's just a little bit of surface rust here. It's getting a little bit bubbly. So, you know, even if we just neutralise all the rust for now and we just sit on this project, it's not doesn't have to be done. I'm doing it just because. It doesn't have to be done straight away, I mean, but you know, it's just something I can do in my spare time. Yeah, poor old girl, she had a rough life. This is common for these radiator overflow tanks. They get porous and they break away. Yeah, and the diesel had the big radiator. There's a 3-core radiator. And the petrols had a little 2-core radiator. It runs like a charm. You know, you glow it and it fires straight up. You can't ask for any more. But yeah, this basket case, well, it's not really that big a basket case. I found the diff with no oil in it. And I found the front diff drain and fill plug both loose. I think the previous owner, he's fairly highly opinionated and he's got a very abrasive personality, and a lot of people don't like him. I don't mind the guy. I mean, he gets on my nerves sometimes. He just gets on a topic and won't let up, and that's what people don't like. And has his strong opinions. You know, opinions like like assholes. Everyone's got one. Like, this thing needs a new roof. So I reckon that whoever serviced it on him purposely left things loose on him. And that could well be. So everything works on it electrically. The power windows, the heaters. This roof's got to be done properly because it's actually... It's been in here 5 seconds and the cat's already jumping in it. Oh, best thing about this is the bonnet hinges. They're not actually a complete hinge. The back of it is hollow, so you can just pull the bonnet off it at your leisure. Unclip this so I can show you. Where was it? Oh yeah, the weld's on here, I think. Where are we? Yeah, where this... There you go, it moves away from there. This is going to be re-welded back to here. The welds are broken on the far side, which lets the front come up, so you can never really keep the wind out because it won't seal across the front here. It gets the wind under the front and pushes it between the seal, or seal surface, and there, because it doesn't pull it down far enough. But yeah, I want to get a new roof, but it's no point until we fix all that. I don't want to pull it apart in case all these clips break, because you've got to manipulate all this around the front and then just jostle these clips out, and then that's where you start when you're taking it off or putting it on, and work your way back to get the roof on. I'd love to find a rear seat for it. It's supposed to have rear seats. Even says on the compliance plate it's supposed to have rear seats. But I have no idea where to get them from. There's the mounting bracket in the bottom for it. They're totally removable, you see. Now this vehicle I accidentally shot. I was sighting in a rifle one day and I was leaning against here and trying to get steady, and I accidentally shot the side. And it just dinged the steel in. There's a fair ding in there and a hole. I don't actually know what happened to the projectile. Whether I dug it out of there, I think I might have. But yeah, a good little four-wheel drive, go anywhere kind of thing. So yeah, good platform, especially when you get it for free. You can afford to do a little bit of work to it. Electric mirrors, they all work. Horn works, dash works. Air conditioner needs gas. Yeah, I know, it's weird. It's got air conditioner. Soft top with air conditioner. You can actually get a fiberglass canopy that deletes all that. But like I said, I didn't pay for it. I don't want to pay for something like that. Power steering, all works. You know, can't complain. Power steering works, treat. Don't think I'll bother putting gas in the air conditioner at all. But, you know, alternator charges like a bastard. You can hear that. It sounds like the thing's turbocharged. That works rather well. I'm not sure what to think about this air intake. I guess with the inner guard in there, I guess it's all sealed. I guess that takes the air in from the front here behind the headlight. They did have a snorkel kit. It was just literally a hole through the side here and it come up the side. But yeah, and then they had a bonnet snorkel kit which mounted, it was actually a factory bonnet kit, I think, mounted off of here, off this strut tower. And then it had a big rubber seal and the bonnet closed down on it. And you had vents through the bonnet. But yeah. And I think in the late models, this right angle drive I think is, must have a plastic gear in it somewhere and that fails. But yeah. I have no idea when the timing belt was done either, so, you know, it doesn't make any sound, but it doesn't mean that it's not due for replacement. So, in my leisure, because I don't need this vehicle, I've got my trusty D21. Touch wood, it doesn't break down or anything silly. I do this in my leisure and, you know, like, only I can drive it at the moment. So, if I do, it'll be to work and back. But yeah, or if we're off of public roads, if we're out in the paddock somewhere, then, you know, we can cram everybody into it. But yeah, I thought I had all the wheel caps for it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I just had the front ones. I've got a rack up the back too. I got the rack for $100 because I was looking for CV parts and things like that. Yeah, I reckon I do have, because I fixed up that hub and it would have had it on there, and I reckon I left it off on purpose. But yeah, so there you go. Anywho, I put them lights on there. They were on the nav. I hit a kangaroo and broke one of them and fixed it, and then they ended up back on here because the bumper I put back on the nav didn't have holes in it for spotlights. And then I hit another kangaroo and destroyed that front bumper, so that one had holes in it, so I put new lights on the front, which then I hit another kangaroo and broke them. And I'd be curious to see. Yeah, I reckon it did, it re-cracked. But that hung out for a long time. I just welded that with some mild steel after cleaning it up and preheating it by running it around the yard at 3/4 throttle in second gear. That crack hung out for a long time. But you can actually get extractors and things that delete this section here, which means there's only one join under there and a join there, and then I think it goes all the way through to the back, which, you know, the less joins and then exhaust is, you know, good. The least you can have, the better. But yeah, I mean, it still runs. It just won't idle because it's got compression issues. Unless it's under choke, of course. And there you go, and it has a miss. And it's not ignition related. I've swapped plug leads around and I found the dodgy cylinder, and I can't remember which one it was now. I think it might have been number 3. And it's got new plugs in it, and all the plugs are doing all the right things. It's just compression related. So, I mean, it runs that good with a busted head gasket, and this has got very old fuel in it. Wait till I fix the thing up properly, because it used to do 140 k's an hour, and like I started losing power, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's been hot. Previously, the previous owner must have got it hot, and it must have warped the head, because this is the G16A, and like the G16s and the G13 engine, Suzuki engines are pretty good. So yeah, and the 13s, which come out in your Barinas and stuff like that, and your Suzuki Swifts, you know, like, they're really economical. And this one wasn't bad, considering it's a brick. Like, it's not heavy, but it's got the aerodynamics of a brick. But yeah. Alright, that's enough flapping my jaws for now. The car over in the corner there, the Bluebird, that's finished. I just threw all that stuff on there for cleaning up for this party that we had this weekend. So, yeah. It's finished. It can go where the Suzuki just came out of. And then, yeah, no one's going to drive it for a while, so, because we can't fit the family in it. Until the kids can sit upright a bit more, because there's no room for me to drive. So, like, yeah. We'll drive that probably in 2 years' time. It can sit for another 2 years. It won't harm sitting around. So yeah, that's life. And then we might take it for a spin. It's got a new engine after all, so you know, might as well use it. Runs no different. Let's stick that in there, see what that does. But if I remove number 3, dies an arse. Number 4 dies as well. Number 1's too hard to remove. Number 1's pulling the hardest. Nothing for number 2. So, anyway, I will just check for vacuum leaks, but I'm pretty confident that the head gasket's gone. I'm pretty sure I've had it blow bubbles. I reckon I had it in the previous video. You've got to wait ages for it to circulate and whatever, but you know, like, they're a basket case full of vacuum lines. I don't think that that's the issue. I think it's gasket related. Oh yeah, that's right. It'll push that out, I'm pretty sure. That's the signs of a head gasket. And then it should let some more bubbles out. That would have been one. There's a bubble. It's a good 3-cylinder. Yeah. I think there's my answer. And that's going to be hot, ladies and gentlemen. And there's the bubbles. Yep. There's the bubbles. Let's just put some more water in it and see what it does. I bet you it'll do it again. I'll show you another thing in a sec. Not always reliable. Wow. Oh, it's definitely the issue because it pushed all that water out. This is the exhaust. Not always reliable. Because, you know, you can get lots of condensation in an exhaust. But, yeah. I say she's burning water in the exhaust and, yeah. Bubble, bubble. Look at all that air coming out. Number 2 is completely dead, so I'll say it, we have ourselves a blown head gasket. Number 2 is flaming out. Oh no. Flaming out, flamed out, I don't know. It won't bang. You can totally remove the spark plug lead and it makes no difference. Yeah, number 3 you can remove, and it pulls the engine down, so why just number 2? I don't know. Maybe it's a crack in number 2. Maybe I should get this head checked. All the bubbles. Back on there, and I don't know, it still makes no difference. It's a fair puddle. That exhaust was dripping when it was cooler. It really doesn't help putting that back on. Number 4. Oh no, I can't get him back on. I'll get on there. I don't want to get bit by you, so I don't want to put my fingers any closer. Oh, well, it's on there enough. Leave it for just arcing out. Well, yeah. Bubble central. She pooched. Whilst it's running, let's just check that everything else still works. Indicators. Low beam. High beam. Even the other up works. That answers that question. Might as well see about pulling it apart. Someone's timed it up, so should be number 1, top dead center. When I get down there. So yeah, the arrow and the top spline and that keyway all straight up and down. And that there, that dot, this belt must be in good nick because that dot's a little bit forward of top dead center, so the belt's not stretched. But this, it's point at number 4, so they got that 180 out. But that's no big deal because it really doesn't make a scrap of difference. Anywho. What can I say? Nothing. This has been replaced not that long ago by the look of it. It's not got much wear on it at all, from what I can tell. And that's in good nick. There's no movement in that. That's all just my finger moving. This water pump, well, it's in good nick, as far as I can tell. Anyhow, it's not hard to pull this thing apart to bloody do it if it does go later on. But the there's oil down there, so I've got to do that front oil pump seal, because that's actually the oil pump. So yeah, you know, when you look at this, I know it's a Suzuki, but it's almost like an old CA20 engine or an early CA18 engine, just a micro version. They're all one and the same. It's kind of like you look at one, you've seen them all. So yeah, I just thought, you know, just thought I'd show you that. Oh yeah, and the aircon tensions the belt for the power steering, like it's driven off the one belt, and then the alternator and fan has its own belt. So there you go. And there's a top bracket here to remove off of the side of the head. I'm gonna delve in there and see if I can get the flange gasket apart, because I want that manifold to come off with the head, and I'll try and weld that beforehand and whatnot, see what we can do. I mean, it can only crack again, no big deal. If I blow a hole in it and stuff it on the workbench, well then I'll left shoulder it and get another one. Yeah. All these bearings feel alright. I had no doubt anyway, because I used to drive this, remember? So yeah. Actually, it's going to pay for itself, or it has probably paid for its repairs in the time I spent driving it before it died, so. Because it got me to work for ages. So there you go. I think it's really exhaust now. Rip the belt off, and then take the rock cover off and check. I've got bubbles, so I definitely think I've done a head gasket, but I was just looking at a video before for shits and giggles. Someone lost the top of their piston, and that's why they had a dead number 2. I'm like, well, hopefully I don't have a dead piston, So I don't really want to pull the engine out and rebuild it. So we'll see.